everybody and welcome. In today's video, I wanted to do a decluttering of my fall handmade wardrobe because I have a lot of handmade pieces that I've made over the years, but that I don't actually reach for and wear in the fall. And I think that's for a few different reasons. I think that fall is a really difficult season for me to sew for because I'm still trying to find my colors. So I'm more of a pastel light color person. I love the spring and summertime, for example, in terms of colors, but the light changes in the fall, and the sort of colors that I reach for are colors that I really want to wear, but that don't ultimately always work for me. And so over the years, I've been experimenting with different colors and fibers, and I think I'm getting a better idea of what works for me. And there is unfortunately a lot of clothes in my handmade wardrobe that I just don't reach for, that don't work for me. And so I wanted to sort through my fall handmade wardrobe because it's starting to take up a lot of space, and I don't have a very big space for my clothes. This second half of the closet is mine, or at least for anything that needs to be hung. And I'd like to make space for my new makes that suit me and what I want to wear a little bit better. And so because these clothes are still well made and dear to me, and I think could suit other people quite well, they haven't been vigorously worn, they're not ripped or torn or broken, I'm going to try to sell them secondhand because I do have a very hard time letting go of these. I think they will suit other people just fine. They're well made, and sewing is expensive, and I'd like to, if possible, reinvest that money into future projects if they end up selling. And so I thought it'd be interesting for you not only to see the different colors and fibers that I'm talking about that don't work for me, because perhaps it'll help you in defining your future projects, especially for the fall season, but also seeing if it works selling these clothes secondhand, because I've never done that before. And I'm not entirely sure if it's gonna work. But to first give you some context so that you understand a little bit better why these clothes don't perhaps work for me. I am a dual American and French citizen. I live in Paris, France. I grew up in New England in the United States, and so I do a lot of commuting by foot or public transportation. The climate is typically pretty mild but very rainy most of the year, and so I have to dress for rain a lot of the times. We don't get a whole lot of sunshine. We don't get a whole lot of heat waves, for example, in September or in the fall season. It's pretty cold and rainy, and so this lifestyle is important in understanding what works for me and what doesn't, at least for me. And then also the Parisian sort of vibe does definitely influence what I wear on a daily basis. So there you go, that's me. My name is Sarah. Welcome if you're new here, and let's get started. First, let me put down my tea so I don't spill it everywhere. It's cinnamon tea and it's really, really good. So the first garment that I will be taking out of my wardrobe is this dress. This is a Sew Over It Charlotte dress that I made in 2019, actually. I was going to California for the very first time to see my parents' new house because they moved from Connecticut to California to spend Christmas with them, and I made this, and it was fun to wear, but I don't wear this anymore. I just don't reach for it, and when I do wear it, I don't really like it. I love the shape of the bodice. The bodice is really, really beautiful, and I did size it down manually, so their smallest size in this dress is a size 8, which is one size too big for my bust. It's a size 33-inch bust, and I have a 31.5-inch bust. And so I manually sized that bust down, and I made it in this polyester crepe fabric in this really beautiful burgundy color. And this is a color that I was obsessed with a few years ago. I just absolutely loved it, and I want to learn how to wear it. And it's not so much the color. I do like the color. It's more the fabric and also the fit of the skirt that I don't enjoy. So the fabric is 100% polyester, and it just feels kind of rough against the skin, and it doesn't keep you warm, and it was fine for Christmas in California, but it's not warm enough for fall or winter in Paris, France. And so I either have to layer it up a lot, and I'm still a little bit cold because this V-neck leaves the neck exposed, and then it's short sleeves, and it's polyester, so it doesn't retain very much heat at all. But also, I don't really like the fit of the skirt. So the bodice is pretty voluminous and beautiful and very much inspired by the sort of Dior 50s or 60s bodice shape. But the skirt is just a simple A-line. It's got these pleats here for a little bit of volume, but I find that the skirt doesn't match the voluminous top, so it's sort of just kind of straight. So I love this pattern for the bodice, but I think if I would definitely make it again. I'd make a more voluminous skirt, sort of balance it out and sort of lengthen it a bit, because this is just above the knees and that sort of length doesn't really suit me anymore. It's not something that I like wearing anymore, just as a style preference. And I would make it in a different fabric. I think that this would be perfect in a sort of cotton voile for the spring and summertime. And there's something about the blousiness of the top that just lends itself really well to a more breathy, airy fabric, such as a linen or a cotton. And I think that it doesn't match very well with this polyester. So this one has to go, unfortunately. So the second dress that I will be selling is this Vogue 8379 dress that I made a few years ago in this really, really slinky Bordeaux and blush polyester. It's 100% polyester and it's very swingy, which is a lot of fun to wear, but I think that the base of this Bordeaux color is a little bit more red, like reddish brown, and when I wear it, especially in the sort of orangey yellow fall light, it looks just kind of muddy on me and it makes me look a little bit sick. Also, more and more I've been just not really liking wearing polyester against my skin. And this has a very slinky, cool touch to it. And so when I wear it, it's kind of cold and I don't know, I don't like the sensation and I don't like the color, but it's pretty well made and it's a lot of fun to wear. It's very comfortable, very stretchy. So there's another one. Oh, the next one is this one. This is a Nina Lee Q dress that I made in a viscose fabric in this really gorgeous sort of orangey red color, and it's exactly that doesn't work for me. It's this orangey red color, but also I've discovered that as much as I want to wear fall colored viscoses, so sort of like reds and burgundies and sort of fall palette viscose fabrics, they're just too light for me. I'm too cold. I don't wear it. Even if I layer tights and camisole underneath and a cardigan over it, I'm just cold. So I don't wear this. It's also a little bit high maintenance. This viscose does wrinkle really, really easily. This is after I've ironed it, so you have to be very careful with it when you're wearing it and prepare it sort of every time before you wear it. But it's still really a beautiful design. This is sort of a tea dress design. It's got these really beautiful buttons too, and a lot of hand sewn finishings on the inside. And so it's sort of a shame, but I think that this color and then the lightness of the fabric don't work for me. So, so that's why I'm probably going to be selling this one as well. This is the Just Patterns Linda Wrap dress, and I made this in collaboration with Just Patterns because I made it for the launch and posted on Instagram when this pattern launched. And I made it in this heavy polyester crepe in a dark blue. And this one, in terms of weight and color, definitely suit me a lot better. And I find the details of this really interesting. So for example, this isn't actually belted at the waist here. I added I added snaps here so that it actually closes with 3 snaps, and so you don't have to deal with a fiddly belt every time you put it on. And I thought that that was kind of cool in terms of construction. It's got pockets and it's got a really interesting shape with some shaping in the back with these gathers. But I think that it's a lot more formal in tone, especially with this collar detail and the V-neck detail. I think it's good looking. Like, I love the shape of this pattern, but I think that it's a little bit too formal for my lifestyle. It's much more formal than the casual business wear that I wear at work, for example, and so I just don't reach for it. But I think that perhaps it would suit someone else really well. I think it's really well designed, and I think that this fabric works really nicely for the fall and winter time. It's very warm, it's very sort of bouncy, and it doesn't wrinkle, so it'd be great for business trips or for having business wear that that's just easy to wear. And so yeah, that one too. And oh, I just remembered I added this self-made bias binding to the inside, so oh, the finishings are there. but yeah, I just don't wear this anymore. So the next dress is actually 2 that I'm selling. It's both the same pattern. This is the Rachel Wrap dress by Maria Denmark Patterns. And the first one, let me put this down so I can show you individually. The first one is in this really, really soft polyester knit. It's super, super soft to touch. And I think it's a Hachi knit that I got from Alyssa May Designs, but I'm not sure. No, Pretty Mercery. And it's got these really pretty pink and blue flowers on it. But I find that the pattern itself is not quite for me because I prefer v-necks that are a little bit more crossed and higher up, that cross higher up at the bust rather than lower down. And this one is designed to be a bit more open at the neck. And so when I wear it, I wrap it tighter and then the shoulders, heads sort of creep up towards my neck, which is not great. And then also I find that the skirt is a little bit too short for me. And then the color as well. I think that this gray color has, I'm not sure if you can see it with the coloring that's being filmed, but or in the camera, but it's got a lot more of a gray brown base to it, and this sort of brownish gray just doesn't look that great on me. I think that it's a little bit more of a warm gray, and therefore it's super comfy and I think it might suit someone else really well. I haven't worn it very much, but yeah, it's just not for me. And then this one is the same pattern but in a Ponte knit, so not as squishy but still pretty soft. And this is in this abstract sort of brush strokes Ponte, and this was actually very much on trend back in like 2018. This fabric was everywhere and I wanted to try it, and I loved it for a few years, but I haven't really reached for it the last few years because I think that my style is becoming a lot more subtle, and such highly contrasting fabric is just not really my style anymore. But I did have a lot of fun wearing this, and even though it's the same pattern, I find that it fits a little bit better than this one. I'm not sure why, maybe because this is more of a loose knit, and maybe it's the color as well, but yeah, this one's fun. But I will be letting go of it now because I just haven't reached for it in the past like 3 or 4 years. So this is the Itch to Stitch Zamora blouse that I made in this sheer polyester chiffon. I actually made this in collaboration with Minerva a few years ago, and I actually have a really sad memory tied to this one. I wore this for the very first time to work in March in, I think, 2019, and it's when my work bestie just declared that she wasn't going to be working with us anymore and leaving, and I was happy for her professional future, but very, very sad to lose her because she was such a joy to have every day in the workplace with me, and we're good friends now. We know each other a lot better now that we don't work together, and there's not like the sort of work sort of conflict of sharing too much with your colleagues. But yeah, that's every time I look at this blouse, I think of that. But also, it's polyester, and I find that the arm size, I think that the problem is I made a size 00 corresponding to my bust, but my rib cage is a lot smaller than my shoulders proportionally when it comes to a standard size. And so it fits me fine at the bust and waist, but the shoulders, the arm size is a little bit too tight, and I think that it's because my shoulders are a little bit broader than the standard size, and I should have probably added a little more space. So this one sort of hugs my armpit quite aggressively, and it's not comfortable to wear. But it's this really, really beautiful blouse. It's got little pin tucks here and shaping in the back. It's got yeah, this bow, and it's just really gorgeous. It's got little arm cuffs here. Oh, it's a really nice blouse, so I think someone else will probably like this quite a lot. And it's a size 00, which is pretty rare. So if someone else is small in the bust like me, perhaps they'll enjoy this one too. The next are 2 circle skirts that I made, both in Cupro fabrics. So this is back from the beginning of my sewing journey when I wanted to try the fit and flare thing, the sort of vintage circle skirt, and I had so much fun wearing these. These are both in this, Cupro is sort of a peach skin feel, very, very soft, very, very drapey, and it was so much fun making and both wearing both of these and sort of swishing around. And I would wear these again today, but the length is what bothers me. So both of these are hemmed above the knee, and I find that my style is much more below the knee and not as flared, so maybe I'd make this again in the same sort of fabric and colors because I love this color. But longer and perhaps a half circle skirt versus a full circle skirt like these two are. But yeah, they're a lot of fun. They both have invisible zippers installed. They both have pockets, I think. This one doesn't. No, the green one does. The blue one does not, which is handy. And yeah, so I think someone else is going to have a lot of fun swishing around in these. The next is this very sort of holiday vibes skirt. This is the Sew Over It Elsie skirt, which has pleats that create the volume in the front and in the back, and this really swishy skirt. And I made this in this tartan fabric with greens and blues and reds, and I wore this for a Christmas party a few years ago. And I think that once again, so this one's a little bit below the knee, so it's not quite the above the knee problem that I have now with my above the knee skirts that I made a long time ago. But I think it's more that my style has evolved to a little bit more of a streamlined silhouette, especially because I have a lot of volume in my hair. And I think it's because it kind of creates this sort of silhouette, sort of like poof, poof. And so maybe that's it, but I haven't been gravitating towards this skirt or the sort of very flared skirts that I've made in the past. And also this is made out of 100% polyester fabric, so I don't know if you can hear it, but it sort of crinkles if the microphone is picking up on that. And so it's heavy and it sort of sticks to your tights. So I think it does need to be worn with a slip. It doesn't have an integrated slip in it, but it is a lot of fun to wear. It's very holiday, and I think that someone else might like it, especially because tartan is always in fashion and always on trend. Next is actually one of my tried and true patterns, and it's the Sew Over It Heather dress in this fabric. And I actually made this not that long ago, maybe a year and a half ago. And this one it's more the color that doesn't work for me. I think it's sort of a very bright burgundy and it sort of washes me out. But it's also the feel of the fabric. So this fabric is, I think, 60% viscose and 40% polyester, if not more viscose. And therefore it's got a very sort of spongy feel to it and a cool touch. And it feels almost, not clammy, but it's got that cool feeling to it. And so when I'm wearing it in the fall and the winter time, it just feels very cool against my skin. And I'm cold all the time. I am a summer baby. I don't sweat very much. I love the sun. My ideal temperature is 80 degrees Fahrenheit. And so when I'm wearing this in the fall and the winter, it just feels like it's a cold cloth pressed against my skin. So that actually might suit someone very, very well if you run warm, for example. But otherwise, yeah, this one just doesn't work for me. Also, you have to be very careful with this fabric because it is mostly viscose, and therefore it does actually, to my surprise, wrinkle very easily. And so I end up having to iron it every time I want to wear it, and that's just a bit of a hassle. But perhaps someone else will enjoy this, especially for the cool touch sort of vibes. And then I have another one just like it in the same fabric. This is the Seamwork Astoria sweater in the very same fabric, this viscose polyester, and it's the same. I don't enjoy the feeling of the fabric against my skin, even though this is one of my tried and true patterns. This is the front. And I love the shape of this pattern. It's just, yeah, the color next to my face, and then also the feeling of the fabric is just not for me. We're almost done. Hang in there. Let me get a sip of my tea first. All right, I hope this video won't be too long. I'll try and pick up the pace a little bit more. So this is something that I tried to make a while ago and that's been in my closet for years. This is the Sew House 7 toaster sweater with the faux sort of mock turtleneck here, or the funnel neck here. And I wanted to try this funnel neck because I've never worn anything like that before. And I found the shape of this pattern really intriguing. I liked the box shape and the little vents here at the sides. I thought that was really pretty, and I thought it would look really, really nice in white. But I think that my issue is that it is made out of this Ponte polyester knit, and even though the color suits me and the shape is okay, I don't like the sensation, once again, of polyester against my skin. Even if I layer underneath it, it just doesn't keep me warm at all. And so it's sort of a useless layer. It doesn't really serve a purpose except for the look. And so, yeah, if someone else runs hot, this is another one that would work pretty well for them. All right, so during this exercise, even though I pulled this one aside to also get it out of my autumn wardrobe, I decided that I love it too much and I'm going to keep it, as well as this one. Both of these I had resolved to get out of my wardrobe, but now that I think about it, I love them too much. And they're going back in. So the very last garment that I will be selling, and I have a bunch of ready-to-wear garments that I'm going to be adding to the sale as well, but I'm not going to show you those. This is the Berlin skirt by Orage's Patterns that I made in a light sort of gray-blue polyester fabric, which means that it doesn't wrinkle very much, and it's got a lot of really interesting details. For example, darts in the back for shaping, this sort of fabric belt, these Italian pockets, and also a slit up the front that goes to right about here. And this one was difficult to make. This is not a pattern I would recommend because I find that the sizing is really strange and I had a lot of difficulty sizing it. I ended up trying to put it in the lining, but the lining pieces didn't match up at all, which I think is a pattern default, so I wouldn't recommend buying this one, the pattern. But the skirt, actually, I was trying to imitate a ready-to-wear skirt that I had a long time ago in a similar color, and I love the color, but I think that it's a little bit too light for me. I think that I would like a fabric that's not this really thin polyester fabric. You have to be careful about what you wear underneath because it will show sort of panty lines and things like that. But I think that the shape is really interesting, and perhaps someone who's a little bit more used to that or wants to try this shape might appreciate it a little bit more. But I think that, yeah, I think it's also polyester. I don't enjoy wearing polyester anymore, and so yeah, this is also going to go. So, ooh, this is very heavy. These are all of the clothes that I will be trying to sell secondhand, all these handmade fall garments that I've picked out of my wardrobe, and hopefully they'll find new people who will love them a lot and enjoy wearing them. And yeah, so I'm going to go try and do that now. So how I'm going to do it is I'm going to create a DStash account on Instagram. And so the people who follow me and you will be able to purchase them if you want to, if sizes correspond and it corresponds to your taste. I will be launching that at the same time as this video launches, so don't hesitate to follow me on Instagram to find that DStash account. I'll link them both below if you'd like to find it there. And then after, I think I will open it to the general public after about 2 weeks. If they don't sell there, I will be putting them on Vinted, which is a European sort of secondhand online shop where you can put your clothes up for sale. I think it's available in London and Ireland, for example, from France. I don't think it's open internationally, whereas the Instagram sale will be depending on where you are, and also, yeah, delivery and shipping fees are going to depend on where you are. But yeah, that's what I'll be doing, and hopefully other creators will enjoy these, or eventually the general public. And then if I don't end up being able to sell them online, I will probably donate these. I will definitely not be throwing them away. Oh God. So yeah, so now I will be preparing them for sale. I'll be taking pictures of all of them, probably not on me so that people can imagine themselves in them, but on my dress form, and then also flat lays, and then loading them up and preparing those posts for Instagram so that they can launch when this video launches. And yeah, hopefully they'll find new happy homes. So thank you for watching. Hopefully this was inspiring for you, either for decluttering your own wardrobe or in the kind of projects that you want to invest your time and money in the future for fall things, in case fiber preferences, for example, is something that resonated with you. I think that I've learned a lot through this exercise. I know that fiber and color and shape is something that I've been thinking about a lot, and has definitely helped me clarify what I want to make in the future. Thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I will be back very soon with a new video. I'm going to put these down because it's very heavy. And I will see you again here soon. Take care, and bye-bye.